Everyone wants to know the secret to a happy marriage. What's the magic formula? Why do some relationships make it for the long runs and others, well, they just don't? But hold up, that is putting the cart before the horse. What I've noticed is that most people go into a marriage with rose-colored glasses, preconceived notions of what a marriage should be like, only to be sorely disappointed when the bubble bursts. In this video, I am counting down the 10 most common misconceptions about marriage, whether you're about to get married or just want to enjoy a long-term healthy relationship. As with everything, we all learn from each other, so please feel free to share your comments and input down below in the comments. Okay, grab a pen and paper and let's do this. Ladies, I am not an official relationship expert. I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm a regular woman just like you with life experiences, some of which I've definitely learned the hard way, haven't we all? My husband Oliver and I just celebrated our 20-year wedding anniversary on December 30th. My parents have been married for 58 years, his parents a little over 60. So many of these thoughts are based on what I've had the privilege to observe over a lifetime. The number 10 most common myth, marriage is a 50-50 partnership. Rarely. Sometimes he carries most of the load, other times maybe you do. Marriage is not about keeping score or splitting things down the middle exactly like your roommates. My milk, your milk. Instead, think of it like the stock market. There are ebbs and flows, upticks and downticks, but as a general rule of thumb, there should be an overall upward swing to it. Having been married 20 years, our respective roles have evolved naturally depending on our skill sets. Sometimes that means he bears more work, sometimes it's me. But it all contributes to the overall health and happiness of the marriage. For example, Oliver is a phenomenal investor. He's got a natural knack for it, so he manages all of our portfolios. Conversely, I'm very strong in business management and infrastructure, so I've helped him to implement policies and processes that has helped his law firm to grow and scale over the years. Number 9, financial problems will ruin your marriage. While financial irresponsibility can definitely ruin a marriage, encountering money problems along the way doesn't necessarily doom a marriage to failure. It's all in the way you work through the issues. Sit down, make a plan, execute it, and work together. Talk about different ways that you can each contribute to digging yourselves out and putting yourselves on an upward growth track. Work together as a team, and most importantly, work together to avoid blame, even if you feel frustrated. As I've always said about life in general, it's rarely what happens that will make or break something, but rather how it's handled that can differentiate success from failure. If you both value financial stability and health at its core, working through tough financial times is going to be much easier for you than it is for others. Number 8, once you're married, the romance fades. It can, for sure, but it is not inevitable. The longer you're together, the more effort it naturally takes, just because, as we all know, life gets busy. The key is making the effort. And important to note, it doesn't have to be huge. As a matter of fact, it's usually the little things done consistently that make all the difference. For example, I know that Oliver loves these healthy blueberry flaxseed muffins that I make for him, so I whip him up a fresh batch every few weeks. To see his face light up the minute he walks through the door and can smell those baking is priceless. Conversely, he knows that I love a good fancy dinner night out, so every couple weeks he sends me an invite to do something fun. Number 7, having kids will strengthen or fix the marriage. Did you just cringe? No, 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 no. Listen, kids are hard. They are time consuming. They are expensive. They're exhausting, and the workload is never ending. We do not have kids, but I was a kid, and I know that I was probably really exhausting for my parents. If anything, having the extra responsibility of kids exacerbates and exposes whatever is naturally faltering. Invariably, one person is going to feel saddled with more work and responsibility, which leads to frayed nerves, resentment, and frustration. If you're already financially strained or you argue over money, think of how adding more expenses is going to affect the relationship. The decision to have kids is deeply personal, and it ain't nobody's business but yours and your partner's. Fix what's broken first, then decide. Marriage is all about compromise. I understand the concept here, which is it can't always be my way or the highway. Not only is that attitude disastrous to relationship, but honestly, those kind of people are really annoying overall, right? Instead, I'd say there has to be give and take without compromising your core values. Sometimes he gets his way, sometimes I do. Okay, many times I do, let's be honest. When I know something is more important to him than it is to me, I'm more apt to say, that's fine, and vice versa. At its root, we legitimately want the other person to be happy and to do the things that they love doing. That is what drives both of us. Maybe I would really love to go out to dinner on a Saturday, but I know he's had a long week. Instead of insisting that we go because I want to go to dinner, I'll proactively say, I know it's been a long week, why don't we stay in this weekend? His response is always a grateful, oh, okay, thank you. Then inevitably he'll make dinner reservations someplace fun that he knows I love for the next couple weeks. What's not a give and take is if it's a core value. Like, he definitely wants kids, you definitely don't. That's not a situation in which there can be give and take. It's a definitive yes or no. If you value honesty and he, let's say, doesn't, that's not a give and take situation either. You get the idea. Number 5, he will change after marriage and or kids. Nope. When somebody tells you who they are, believe them. That can be either positive or negative. If someone is irresponsible and lacks the ability to make good decisions, ladies, that is not changing. It may evolve over time, it may soften, we get older and wiser, but at its core, it's not going away. And if you are super responsible and accountable, it is going to drive you batshit crazy. Mark my words. By the time you are a grown-ass adult getting married, you're pretty set in your ways and who you are. Love cures all. It's enough to sustain a happy marriage. Nope. It's just not. Think of how many times you've been in love before. I'm sure at least once. If love was enough, you'd still be together. Think about what drove you apart. Why didn't it work for the long term? It doesn't matter whose fault it was. It's looking at the fact that just because you love each other doesn't mean that it's meant for the long term, that it's meant to be something you stay with moving forward the rest of your life. For me, with past relationships, it really boiled down to a difference in core values over which neither one of us were willing to compromise. And that should be the case. You should never, ever, ever compromise one of your core values for someone else. It might work well for a little bit, but mark my words, just like trying to keep a beach ball underwater, it's going to surface because somebody's going to feel resentful, like they gave up a part of themselves, like they gave something that they really wanted, and now they're not so happy about it. Instead, look for somebody who shares common values and lifestyle preferences. Number 3, you should never argue or disagree. Look, unless you're a robot or a Stepford wife, you're gonna have disagreements, you're going to argue. You're two individual people with your own thoughts and perspectives being brought together. It's gonna happen. The issue is how you argue and how you navigate solutions that can make all the difference. Remember that words do hurt. Name calling, hitting below the belt can sear itself onto your brain and that of your partner. Can you think of a really hurtful comment that somebody close to you made when you were growing up? One that really cut to the bone and that you remember to this day. When we know and love somebody, we naturally know their soft spots. We know what hurts, the things that make them feel really bad and that are said just to be mean. That's hitting below the belt. Don't do that. Instead, focus on the issue. Talk about what you don't like, how it makes you feel, what you'd like to do instead. Step away if you need. And look, the old don't go to bed mad, I don't know. I mean, sometimes honestly, I need time to cool off. I gotta be honest with you. In the morning, I wake up a little more refreshed and kind of ready to come back to the negotiating table. Okay, ladies, we're almost there. The second biggest myth. You can make any marriage work if you just try hard enough. This one, in my opinion, is so dangerous because it can easily suck you into the vortex of trying so desperately to squeeze a square peg through a round hole. I remember hearing Rob Lowe, the actor, when asked his secret to a 33-year marriage, say something that really stuck with me. He said, well, it's all in the casting. I'm going to repeat that. It's all in the casting. At a fundamental level, choose a good human being, one with similar core values and lifestyle preferences to your own. That means you have to define and be crystal clear on what those are to you. If you value more of a balance of an occasional night out with chill time watching movies and doing takeout, but your person adamantly thrives on boys' night out and partying, you're fighting a losing battle because your lifestyle preferences are different. And one of you is going to end up feeling resentful and controlled. Not a good idea. If being treated respectfully and as an equal is important to you, and through words and actions he treats you differently, sorry, you can't fix that. It's like trying to make somebody love you. They either do or they don't. All of the trying in the world isn't going to fix that, and trying to force it is like trying to build a relationship on quicksand. And our number one, ladies, tell me if you agree, marriage will automatically make you a happy person. Nope. If you're looking for marriage or a relationship to make you whole, to bring you happiness, like if I only had that special person, I'd be completely happy, the only guarantee is you're gonna be sorely disappointed. Marriage is the melding of two individual and unique people, and it takes work, effort, and compromise to hit your flow. If you go into it thinking that the marriage is going to turn you into a happy person, it won't. While it's certainly impractical to say you should be 100% ecstatic with every area of your life before you say I do, it's vital to feel grounded, confident standing on your own two feet, happy with who you are and where you are, separate and apart from the other person. In other words, you're generally happy with yourself and your life. Marriage is just the cherry on the sundae. And for more good stuff, don't miss my next video, 20 things I would tell my 30-year-old self. Happy New Year, ladies, and I will see you next week.